Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about chainsaws. Why are we going to be talking chainsaws? Because when you live out in the remote area or off-grid or in the country anywhere, a chainsaw is one of the most used tools, especially if you have wood-burning heat. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my 450 and checking out why it's not oiling, and I think I know why. The oil piston pump gets worn out in them, and what I am going to do is replace the oiler with the oiler from a 460 Rancher. And to show you a little demonstration, a little example, this is an oiler from a 460 Rancher. It's all complete steel structure, where the oiler from a 450 is plastic, and it's not one complete unit, and this one also is adjustable. So this is one that I pulled out previously out of the 450 Husqvarna, and it's completely worn out. So I did have this in there once. I put in a new oiler in there, and again I think it's just been worn out. So I'm going to show you how to replace them. There's a couple things you got to do, including changing the bar size as well. So I'm going to be using the bar out of the 460 as well and putting it on the 450. This 460 Rancher, the motor is completely shot on it, so it is just for parts. And the neighbor down the street, he had actually two of them that he's blown the motor on, and so he said take what you need from this one. And here we go. So shout out to Curtis for helping us out with this. Now, I've taken apart as much as I can before I get into the nitty-gritty. So I pulled out the spark plug that was here. I've taken off the cover. I've taken off the old chain that was on here. So the original chain on here was an 18-inch. I'll be replacing it with a, what is this, about a 20-inch, I would say. And as well as a new chain as well. And the reason I have to replace the bar on there is the gear ratio on the 460 is a little bit bigger than the gears on the 450. And let's get right into this. So first what you got to do is choke out the motor so that it doesn't rotate inside. So what I typically like to do is toss in a screwdriver. And I've seen guys on YouTube also do this with a piece of rope. However, I've done it in the past with a piece of rope and found that if you don't use a big enough gauge of rope or too soft of a rope, it will still spin over, and now you got that piece of rope stuck in there, and it's going to be a hell of a time trying to get it turned back over just to get that yanked out. And then if you do get it turned over, it could get cut off, and now you're left with a piece of rope in your motor. So using a screwdriver is perfect. Now, once you have that, this is locked, right? You can turn it to reverse, and that's not a big deal. But this here, the threads are reversed from your common thread, so it's a left-handed thread to tighten things on, and so to loosen it, you need to turn it right. And once you get down to this rotator here, they do have two divots on the outside that you use to hit it, just to disengage it. So what I like to use is I'll use a flathead screwdriver, electrician's hammer, and there you go. So now you can spin that right out. You can pull out the screwdriver out of the motor. That's not needed anymore. Now that comes out, this comes out, and you also pull out this gear here. And last but not least, you're going to also have to pull out this plastic piece here. Let me just grab a screwdriver, try and pry that up. Just like that. So all that here is going to be going, I'm going to put it into the 460 here so that someone else down the road can use it for spare parts. Now what we have to do is loosen off the screw here with a Phillips. And then now this plate comes off. And so if I look in here, the oiler is a little worn out again. this is a brand new oiler, so I'm just gonna call it a day and not even use this oiler anymore. And I'll put the 460 back in here. And what I'm also going to do is pull out the oiler that was from the 450 and put the 460 in there for one reason. The one from the 450 is only half enclosed, where the one from the 460 is completely enclosed. And they fit, they're the exact same size and everything, and it fits perfectly. So you toss that in there like that. And now the ironic thing about the 450 is it has this, a screw hole that is meant for the 460. So the 460 oiler has a set screw that goes inside, and ironically the 450 has that in the same place. So what I'm going to do is, and also the other thing about the 460 is it's adjustable, and again, it has the same slot for adjustments. So my thought is that they use the same casing for the same units, just that the internals are a little bit different. So I'm going to jam this oiler in there, and now she's in there perfectly fine. I just got to toss the screw in to hold the oiler in. Alright, now once you have your oiler screwed in, you can't use the this piece here from the 450 just because it has this little spring on the back, and this oiler is a lot more narrow on the groove, so you have to use the one right from the 460 because it's also just a thread. And if you look at the two, they look exactly the same, just that this one here has a spring. However, when you flip it on the front side here, you can see that this one has 8 slots around the circle here, where this is just a cross through, and that makes a difference when you're putting in your gears, because that one's from the 450. Because if you see the one from the 460 here, it fits in there perfect, right? And so it doesn't budge. Where if I was to try and use this one, it just doesn't sit in there anyway at all. So that's an important piece to keep in mind when you are changing out parts. So what I'll do now is I'll put the plate back on. And one thing to keep in mind when you're putting this plate on is to make sure that the oiler right here is not pinched underneath the plate itself, or you might have some issues with oiling up your bar. And now I'm going to take the this piece here from the 450, put that in there, and what I like to do is just give it a little bit of a spin here and make sure that the oil is coming out of the oiler. You can see it pumping itself. And then what I like to do is toss in the rest of this. So first what you're going to do is toss in this piece to make sure that this groove lines up with this groove here. Just like that. And then what I like to do is toss in the inside piece over top. That way I know that it's not sitting underneath and causing any impedance. And so right after that, what I like to do is put this on. Left-handed, it's a left-handed thread or an opposite thread. So instead of turning right to loosen, or sorry, right to tighten, you're going to turn left to tighten. And one thing I forgot to point out is the gear ratio on the back of this one and the back of the 460 is the reason I have to put on the 20-inch bar rather than the 19. Just because the gear on the 460 is just that little bit bigger than the 450. And I tried it once where I tried to put this one on and it just didn't go. It was just that much short. So I ended up changing them out and putting this one, and it works fine. And now the next step is to put the bar and chain back on there. So I'll get the 18-inch bar, I'll put it on there like that. Alright, I'm just going to set the chain up in there just like that, and then I'm going to put the cover back on. Alright, once I get the bolt on, let me just clear this out of the way here. Once I get this bolt on, I don't tighten it all the way. I set the chain first. And always with the chain, you don't want it right tight, you want a little bit of play. And once you have that little bit of play there, then I like to tighten this up. And that way you know that the bar's good, it's not going to budge. It tightens up the screw in there as well. And just making sure that the clutch is working properly. And now it's time to toss in your spark plug. So take your spark plug, screw it back in there, screw it. Once that's on, pull off your spark plug puller, put the cap back on, or the igniter should I say. And then what you want to do, put this piece back on. And there you have it. So now I have a 20-inch bar on a 450 and a new oiler, which I also can adjust down here in the bottom just like you could do on a 460. And now let's see about firing this up. Alright, now the moment of truth to see if this chainsaw works the way it's supposed to. I adjusted the chain so that it's tight but not too tight. Tighten down the bolt here. I'm going to keep the clutch disengaged right now because I want to spin once I turn it on. That way, as I have it on the ground like this, I can see if it shoots out any oil onto the ground. If the oil is shooting down on the ground, that means the oiler itself is working properly. Then what I'll do is I'll engage the clutch to make sure that the chain does stop, and then I'll turn it back on to make sure that the chainsaw goes back on. Give it a couple revs and see what happens. Here we go. Well, there you have it. That's how you take some parts off a 460 Rancher, put it onto your 450. There are some things that you have to do that to make it work properly, but as you can see, the 450 works great. Now it's time to get out there and cut some trees. If you got any good info off of this video, please do give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for coming out.